There is a reason the plants stacked at the front of every American garden center are the ones that bloom for 3 weeks and die. It is not because they are the best plants for your yard. It is because you will come back and buy more of them next spring. A perennial that blooms from May to October comes back stronger every year and never needs replacing is genuinely bad for a nursery's repeat business. So it sits in the back row, if it is stocked at all, while the same 3-week wonders get the prime real estate by the door. Today you are getting the plants nurseries would rather you never found out about. 15 of them. Everyone blooms for months, not weeks, and at least half of them you will have to specifically ask for by name, because they are not going to be sitting under a sign. Number 1 is Gaura, sometimes sold as whirling butterflies. This is the plant that looks like it is in constant motion, even when there is no wind at all. Thin, wiry stems hold small white or pink flowers that flutter above airy foliage, and the effect from a few feet away genuinely resembles a cloud of tiny butterflies suspended over the border. Gaura blooms from late May all the way through the first hard frost, which puts it in the same bloom length category as plants that cost 3 times as much and demand constant deadheading. Gaura demands almost nothing. Hardy in zones 5 through 9. It wants full sun, and more importantly, it wants soil on the leaner and drier side. Planted in rich, regularly watered ground, and you get soft, floppy growth with fewer flowers. Give it average soil and let it dry out between waterings, and it stays upright, compact, and loaded with bloom for 5 straight months. The deep taproot that makes Gaura so drought-tolerant is also the reason you need to choose its spot permanently the first time. It resents transplanting almost as much as Baptisia does. Plant it once, at the front or middle of a border where its motion can be appreciated, and leave it there. Southern gardeners in zones 8 and 9 get an added bonus. Gaura often stays semi-evergreen through mild winters, giving you a head start on bloom the following spring instead of starting from bare ground. Number 2 is Threadleaf Coreopsis, and the varieties Moonbeam and Zagreb are the 2 to look for specifically. Most gardeners know Coreopsis as a cheerful but short-lived summer filler. What almost nobody realizes is that Threadleaf Coreopsis, with its fine ferny foliage and small daisy-like flowers, will bloom continuously from June through September with almost no gap, and a light shearing after the first flush pushes it into a second wave that carries into October in warmer zones. Hardy in zones 4 through 9. Full sun, average to poor soil, excellent drainage. This is another plant that punishes generosity. Fertilize it and you get tall, weak, floppy stems with fewer flowers. Ignore it in lean soil and it stays tight, mounded, and covered top to bottom in soft yellow color for 4 months straight. The golden tip most gardening content skips entirely. Shear the whole plant back by 1/3 once the first big flush starts fading in midsummer. It looks aggressive. Within 2 weeks you get fresh growth and a second bloom cycle nearly as strong as the first. Skip that cut and Coreopsis peters out by August instead of running clear into fall. Number 3 is Gaillardia, the blanket flower, and this is one of the most genuinely punishing perennials you can put in a yard, in the best possible sense. Gaillardia was built for the American prairie. Brutal sun, thin soil, drought that would kill most ornamentals outright. That heritage is exactly why it blooms from June through the first frost without slowing down. The flowers themselves are the real selling point. Red and orange banded petals radiating out from a deep burgundy center. A color combination that looks almost artificial until you see it growing. Hardy in zones 3 through 10, which means this plant performs reliably from North Dakota to South Texas. The single most common way gardeners kill Gaillardia is overwatering it, in an attempt to be helpful. Once established, water it only during extended drought. Soil that stays consistently moist rots the crown by midsummer, especially in humid eastern states. If you are gardening in the southeast where humidity is the real enemy, choose newer disease-resistant varieties like Mesa Yellow or Arizona Sun, both bred specifically to shrug off the fungal issues that plague older Gaillardia strains in wet climates. Number 4 is Calamint. Calamintha nipida, if you want the full name to search for at a nursery that may not carry it under any common label at all. This is possibly the least appreciated plant on this entire list. And that is a genuine shame, because Calamint produces a haze of tiny white or pale lavender flowers from June literally through the first freeze, and bees find it before almost anything else in the yard. Hardy in zones 5 through 9. It wants full sun to light shade, and once again, soil that leans dry rather than rich. Calamint forms a low, rounded mound about a foot tall and wide, and the individual flowers are small enough that most people walk right past a Calamint planting without realizing what they are looking at until they get close enough to hear it. The sound is not a metaphor. A mature Calamint in full bloom on a warm afternoon is audibly buzzing with bee activity from several feet away. It is one of the most efficient pollinator plants per square foot available to American gardeners, and it is criminally underused specifically because it does not photograph as dramatically as something like a Dahlia or a Hibiscus. What it lacks in Instagram appeal, it makes up for in 5 straight months of quiet, reliable, low-maintenance bloom. Number 5 is Knautia Macedonica, sometimes labeled scabious' lesser-known cousin. And if you already grow scabiosa, you will recognize the family resemblance immediately. Small pincushion-style flowers on long, wiry stems, except Knautia comes in a deep wine red that scabiosa rarely offers. It blooms from June through September, sometimes later with consistent deadheading, and the flowers hold up exceptionally well as cut stems for the house. Hardy in zones 5 through 9. Full sun, well-drained soil, and it genuinely does not care how poor that soil is. Knautia self-seeds moderately, not aggressively, which means you will likely find a few volunteer seedlings around the parent plant each spring. Most gardeners treat this as a bonus rather than a problem, since the offspring tend to stay true to that deep burgundy color. The wiry branching stems mean Knautia works beautifully threaded through other perennials, rather than planted as a solid block, giving you small pops of dark red color scattered through a border from early summer into fall. If any of these first 5 plants are new to you, that is genuinely the point of this video. Comment which one you are adding first, because the next 10 get even less common. Number 6 is Helenium, Sneezeweed, and despite the unfortunate common name, this plant does not cause allergies. That reputation comes from an old mix-up with ragweed, which blooms around the same time and actually is the culprit. Helenium's real claim to fame is late-season color. It blooms from August through October, exactly when most of the garden is winding down and everything looks tired. Deep mahogany, burnt orange, and golden yellow daisy-like flowers cover the plant for 2 full months right as fall arrives, giving your border a genuine second act. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Full sun and consistently moist soil, which makes Helenium one of the only plants on this list that actually prefers regular watering rather than punishing it. Pinch the stems back by about 1/3 in early June, and Helenium stays compact and self-supporting, instead of flopping open under the weight of its own flowers by September. Skip that pinch and you will likely need to stake it. Butterflies, particularly monarchs staging for their fall migration south. Use Helenium as a critical late-season nectar source at exactly the moment they need the fuel most. Number 7 is hardy hibiscus. And if you have only ever seen tropical hibiscus sold as a houseplant, the hardy perennial version will genuinely surprise you. Varieties like Luna Red and Summer Storm produce flowers up to 10 to 12 inches across, dinner plate-sized blooms in shades of red, pink, and white. And the plant produces new flowers continuously from July through the first hard frost. Hardy in zones 4 through 9, which means gardeners as far north as Minnesota can grow a plant with genuinely tropical-looking flowers. The critical thing almost nobody tells you about hardy hibiscus. It is one of the latest perennials to emerge in spring, often not showing any growth above ground until late May or even early June. Gardeners who do not know this dig it up every spring, assuming it died over winter when it was simply still dormant. Mark the spot clearly in fall and resist the urge to disturb it in April. Full sun, consistently moist soil, and once established, hardy hibiscus becomes one of the largest, most dramatic single flowers you can grow in a perennial border anywhere in the country. Number 8 is autumn sage, Salvia greggii, distinct from the perennial salvia most gardening content already covers. This is a different species entirely, native to Texas and the Southwest, and it blooms in flushes from spring through frost with barely a pause, in colors ranging from deep red to coral to white. Hummingbirds treat a mature autumn sage planting like a fuel station, visiting dozens of times a day through the entire growing season. Hardy in zones 6 through 10, making it a strong choice for southern and southwestern gardeners looking for something beyond the standard salvia varieties already available at every nursery. Full sun, excellent drainage, and minimal water once established. The golden tip: shear it back hard by about half twice a season, once in early summer and again in late summer. Each cut triggers a fresh flush of both foliage and flowers within 2 to 3 weeks, which is how you get continuous bloom instead of the plant exhausting itself in one long push and stalling out by August. Number 9 is Shasta daisy, and this is a plant most people assume they already know everything about, which is exactly why it belongs on this list. The classic white and yellow daisy is not a short-season plant the way most people treat it. With consistent deadheading, Shasta daisy blooms from June through September, and newer varieties like Becky extend that window further with sturdier stems that do not flop the way older strains do. Hardy in zones 5 through 9. Full sun, well-drained soil. The single biggest mistake gardeners make with Shasta daisy is letting spent flowers go to seed, which signals the plant to stop producing new blooms and focus on seed production instead. Deadhead consistently, every few days during peak bloom, and you extend the flowering window by a genuine 6 to 8 weeks compared to a Shasta daisy left alone. It is one of the most dramatic examples on this entire list of a single habit determining whether a plant blooms for 6 weeks or 4 months. Number 10 is rose verbena, Verbena canadensis, a low, sprawling ground-cover verbena that most American gardeners have never planted despite it being one of the most reliable bloomers available. It forms a spreading mat covered in clusters of pink, purple, or white flowers from May through frost, and it genuinely does not stop. Hardy in zones 6 through 9, with gardeners in zones 4 and 5 growing it successfully as a heavy self-seeding annual that returns reliably from its own seed each spring, even where the parent plant does not survive winter. Full sun, sharp drainage, and it thrives in poor rocky soil where almost nothing else will establish. Use it to spill over the edge of a raised bed, cascade down a slope, or fill gaps between stepping stones. Anywhere you want low, continuous color without height. It tolerates foot traffic on the margins better than almost any other flowering ground cover on the market. You are 10 plants in, and every single one of them blooms longer than what is sitting at the entrance of your local nursery right now. If that is worth something to you, subscribing means the next list like this finds you automatically instead of you stumbling across it by accident. Number 11 is garden phlox, Phlox paniculata, and this is the plant responsible for that distinctive sweet fragrance drifting through old American gardens on a warm July evening. Tall clusters of flowers in white, pink, purple, and magenta bloom from July through September, and established clumps produce a genuinely powerful scent that carries across an entire yard. Hardy in zones 4 through 8. The reputation garden phlox has for powdery mildew is deserved with older varieties, but it is also almost entirely solvable. Choose mildew-resistant cultivars like David or Gina. Space plants generously to allow airflow, and water at the base rather than overhead. Do those 3 things and garden phlox performs cleanly through the humid months, when older strains would already be coated in white fungal film. Deadhead the spent flower clusters, and you extend bloom by several additional weeks into early fall. Full sun to light afternoon shade, and consistently moist, fertile soil. One of the only plants on this list that actually wants richer ground rather than punishing you for providing it. Number 12 is Cheddar pinks, Dianthus gratianapolitanus, a low-mounding evergreen perennial with grassy blue-gray foliage and a spicy clove fragrance that most people do not expect from a flower this small. It blooms heavily in late spring, and with deadheading, produces a steady scattering of repeat blooms clear through fall. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Genuinely one of the most cold-hardy flowering ground covers available to American gardeners. Full sun, sharp drainage, and it performs best in slightly alkaline soil, which makes it an excellent choice for gardeners dealing with the limestone-heavy ground common across much of the Midwest and parts of the Southeast. The evergreen foliage means cheddar pinks provide structure and color in the garden even in winter, something almost nothing else on this list can claim. Use it along path edges and in rock gardens where its low spreading habit and that clove scent can be appreciated up close. Number 13 is Persicaria Firetail, mountain fleece, a plant almost nobody outside serious perennial circles has ever heard of, and one of the most reliable bloomers on this entire list. As a direct result, Firetail produces narrow bottle brush-shaped spikes of vivid red flowers continuously from July through the first hard frost, held above clean dark green foliage, hardy in zones 4 through 8. It prefers consistently moist soil and tolerates partial shade better than almost anything else covered today, making it one of the strongest options for gardeners with a damp, partly shaded corner where most long-blooming perennials simply will not perform. Full sun works too, provided the soil stays evenly moist. There is essentially no deadheading required. The spent flower spikes are quickly replaced by new ones without any intervention, which makes Firetail one of the lowest maintenance long bloomers on this list, despite being one of the least commercially available. If your nursery does not carry it, ask. Persicaria is worth requesting by name. Number 14 is autumn sage's cousin in spirit, but a completely different plant. Lantana, specifically varieties hardy as true perennials in zones 8 through 11, and grown as a heavy-blooming annual everywhere colder. Lantana produces clusters of small flowers that shift color as they age, meaning a single flower head can show yellow, orange, and pink simultaneously, and it blooms from the moment temperatures warm in spring straight through the first freeze without any gap at all. Full sun, and it is genuinely one of the most drought-tolerant flowering plants available in American horticulture, thriving in conditions that would stress nearly everything else on this list. Butterflies are drawn to Lantana with a consistency that rivals almost any native plant, despite Lantana itself being a non-native species originally from the tropics. Gardeners in colder zones who grow it as an annual should know it roots easily from cuttings taken in late summer, which means a single spring purchase can be propagated into container plants brought indoors over winter, effectively making an annual behave like a perennial with almost no additional cost. And number 15, the plant that closes this list is Dahlia. Most American gardeners think of dahlias as complicated, tuber digging, high-maintenance flowers reserved for dedicated hobbyists. In zones 8 through 11, that reputation is simply wrong. Dahlias are true perennials there, left in the ground year-round, and they produce some of the largest, most varied flowers of any plant covered today, in nearly every color except true blue, continuously from July until the first hard frost finally stops them. In colder zones, the tuber-lifting reputation is accurate, but the trade-off is a genuinely worthwhile one. Dig the tubers after the first light frost blackens the foliage, store them in a cool, dry, frost-free space over winter, and replant in spring. That single seasonal task buys you 4 straight months of the most dramatic flowers on this entire list. Full sun, rich, well-drained soil, and consistent water through the growing season. Pinch young plants when they reach about a foot tall to encourage bushier growth, and significantly more flowers per plant. No other perennial on this list, hardy or tender, produces a bigger single bloom or a wider range of forms, from small pompon shapes to dinner plate blooms that rival hardy hibiscus for sheer scale. That is all 15. Gaura to Dahlia, every one of them blooming for months rather than weeks, and the majority of them sitting in the back row of a nursery, if they are stocked at all, while the 3-week annuals get the display tables by the entrance. That is not an accident of garden center layout. It is a business model, and now you know exactly which 15 plants to walk past that display table and ask for by name instead. If this changed how you are going to shop at a nursery this season, subscribe. This channel is built around exactly this kind of information. What actually performs long-term versus what simply sells well short-term, broken down by zone. So you stop guessing and start planting things that were built to last.